As soon as I turned 18, I applied to be a teacher on italki. When I started, I didn't have any formal experience in teaching languages in Italian. From there, I just thought, well, now I know how to teach. Maybe it's time to make a little bit more money, and I started my course business. The first thing that allowed me to grow my audience to where it is now is being authentic. First of all, if you're authentic and you have an actual passion for teaching, then you can learn everything else. All the marketing things, the video editing things, the course things, the money things. That's after you have a big passion for it. We doubled the leads compared to last year with the same amount of views. We advertise ourselves as not being like gurus of languages. We don't have a secret method. We don't have a special method. We just have a very simple method, very effective. People are still buying in the months we're not promoting anything. What we have is 30% of sales every single month is coming from our email sequence.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Selling Online Courses. We're here to share winning strategies and secret hacks from top performers in the online course industry. My name's John Ainsworth and today's guest is Stefano Chiaramonte. Now, Stefano started teaching Italian on the internet as a side hustle when he was 18, and during COVID, he started uploading videos and podcasts on the internet. From there, everything started. Now he's got a YouTube audience of 280,000 subscribers and over 4,000 customers. And today we're going to talk about what Stefano did to build this audience and why Instagram and TikTok are useless for course creators. Stefano, welcome to the show.
Hello, John. Thank you for having me.
So,
very excited to be here.
This is great. I love this. So, how old were you when you started teaching Italian online?
Well, I was 18 because I did 1 year abroad in the United States during high school. And when I was back in Italy for my last year of high school, as soon as I turned 18, I applied to be a teacher on italki. And so it's just from there, I kind of started getting the experience because, when I started, I didn't have any formal experience in teaching languages, in teaching Italian. And just year after year, I kind of built my, I would say, method to teach languages, to teach Italian to foreigners. And then from there, I just thought, well, now I know how to teach. Maybe it's time to make a little bit more money with that. And I started my course business. But yeah, I was just only 18 when I started.
Nice. That's amazing, man. So we've had a lot of language course creators on the show. Shona from Perfect English Grammar, Lucy from English with Lucy, Michelle from The Intrepid Guide. It's a very common kind of group that we work with. And I'm just super curious with you, what's allowed you, because it seems like you've grown your audience pretty fast. Like, what's allowed you to do that, do you think? What's any of the tips, the tactics, the approaches that you've used that you see maybe are different to what other people are doing online?
Well, that's a very interesting and big question. But what I think we need to take there are two ways, right? The first one, or I would say maybe two requirements, some technical requirements. So to be a little bit of a tech savvy, to know a little bit of marketing, a little bit of video editing and all of that. But for a second, we're going to put all of that aside, because the first thing that allowed me to grow my audience to where it is now is being authentic, first of all. And I think kind of understanding the struggles that students go through, and being a good teacher in the sense of, I know what I'm doing, I know how to teach, and teaching is my biggest passion. If you have that, if you're authentic and you have an actual passion for teaching, then you can learn everything else. So all the marketing things, the video editing things, the course things, the money things, but that's after you have a big passion for it. You want to help people, because we are in the business of helping people even change their lives sometimes. Because, for languages, we're not helping people make money, but we're actually helping people connect to a different culture, to maybe their relatives, but they couldn't talk to them before they took one of our courses and stuff. So it's about that. It's about being authentic, having the passion for teaching, and helping people. Just be able
Mm.
to and be ready to help people.
Where did that passion come from for you? Why are you so passionate about that?
Actually, I think it's kind of in my DNA because my mom is a teacher in
Yeah.
high school, and both my grandparents on my mom's side were teachers in elementary school. So I think my dad on the other side is an entrepreneur. So and so I think I kind of like got the best of them, and it just like I'm a little bit in the middle because I mean I have my own business, but I'm also a teacher. So I think that my mom and my grandparents kind of like mm, transmitted that to me, that passion for teaching and for just helping people. So I think it was, at least for me, was like pretty, I would say, innate. Like it comes to me kind of like natural. But of
Hmm.
course, I perfected it over the years.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you'd mentioned before we jumped on a call is that you found that Instagram and TikTok audiences just not been much use for you in terms of course sales, and I've talked a lot about that on the podcast recently. So I've got theories about it, but I want to hear what you think. Why do you think those don't convert as well to people who are buying courses from you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we tried, and at first, I would say that when we started, we were doing a lot of things on not TikTok but Instagram, and we collected quite a few leads for Instagram at first. Now we're just basically uploading one reel and one TikTok every 2 weeks, just because we don't want to let the pages die. But it's not. We don't even like, I don't know, have strategies for Instagram and TikTok. So sometimes I post stories, for example, just because I want to, but I kind of like treat my Instagram page, my business Instagram page, it's just basically a personal page for like memories and posting very basic things when I want to. And the main reason why I think it's not isn't is not working as well as, for example, other platforms like YouTube or podcast is just the way social media like Instagram and TikTok work. Because when I go on YouTube, this is personal, but I think this applies to a lot of people. When I go on YouTube, I'm searching for something, or YouTube is actually giving me recommendations. Same goes for podcasts. And I actively choose to sit in front of my computer, in front of my TV, or to just have my headphones on for while I walk, while I don't know, cook, while I clean, and watch or listen to a long form content that I know that it's going to be long. And I know that I will have to pay attention to that for quite a long time. It might be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. For Instagram and TikTok, the attention span is completely different because I'm not going on Instagram or TikTok just because I want to watch a specific thing, but just because I don't know what to do. I'm bored.
Hmm.
I don't want to think. I don't want to put effort in what I'm watching. And I'm bombarded with a lot of different content. Maybe some of it is good, some of it is bad, some of it is funny, some of it is stupid. It doesn't matter. But I'm not going there with a specific intention, studying the language or listening to the language. So I guess that's the first thing. The attention span on Instagram and TikTok is so low that people don't have enough time on those platforms to actually appreciate and fully use, fully take advantage of your content. And second thing is that we're selling courses. If you're buying a course, each lesson is not going to be 20-second long. Maybe it's a 10-minute, a 15 minutes, a 20-minute long lesson. So I'm targeting people on, at least on YouTube, that I know are watching hours worth of content on YouTube and are okay with doing that, with sitting at the computer, on their phone, whatever, and watching longer videos. So if they can do that on YouTube, perhaps they can also do that with an online course. And another thing is that this applies mostly to Italian or other. I wouldn't call Italian like a niche language because it isn't, because lots of people in the world that are actually learning Italian. But most of our customers are like, I would say 50 and older. So they're usually retired. They have a little bit more time than people in the younger group. And so naturally on YouTube, we can actually see that most of the people that are using YouTube, uh, or I mean in general, the maybe we can see this the other way around on Instagram and TikTok. The public is generally younger
Hmm.
than YouTube. So because of that, I think that YouTube is a better fit for online course businesses, and also YouTube is a bigger platform whatsoever. I think it's right now maybe the second one. Maybe TikTok recently surpassed it. I don't know, but it's still one of the biggest platforms in the world. So of course, it's still an amazing source of traffic, even though right now it's a little bit lower, uh, but I still think that it is what now converts better for us.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with pretty much all of that. I think that because TikTok and Instagram it's all short form, and it's just not as good of a fit with people who actually really want to learn a thing. And I think even within YouTube, if you look at YouTube Shorts, they are way, way less effective than long form content for YouTube for growing your, pardon me, for growing your email list, for making course sales. And also, even within long form content, search based content is more effective than discovery based content in terms of driving sales. Now, it's a much smaller number of views available within search than there are within discovery. So there's pros and cons to each one. But if you get an equivalent number of views on a search based video, like people actually searched for that topic, to one that some people found through discovery, then those number of views on the search-based one will be worth 4 times maybe as much money long term, because those are people who are like, they actually want to learn this thing enough to be searching for it. They found it. They found your video. They're like way more likely to put in their email address and sign up for your lead magnet. They're way more likely to then buy something afterwards. So it's like even within that is nuanced. And I was talking to someone the other day who was saying how they've tracked the direct sales from every single YouTube video they've ever done separately. So put in different UTM links for every single video. This doesn't tell like the entire story, because some people will have watched 8 videos before they bought or something like that, right? But it's something. And they were telling me how some of their most popular videos have brought in no sales, and some of their smallest videos have brought in tons of sales. So it's like even within that, then even within discovery-based videos, there's nuance and this kind of thing as well. Do you just put effort into YouTube now? That's how it sounds. You like Instagram and TikTok are just kind of the tiniest amount to just keep them ticking over.
Yeah, YouTube and podcast. I mean, we last year, well, in January actually, we just launched 3 new podcasts, and we are putting a lot of effort in that too, because we feel like that podcasts are still like an amazing platform, and of course, I cannot be sure about that, but I predict that, especially with now Spotify, for example, turning podcast into basically videos, is another big discovery platform. Especially because we're talking about very usually longer content than on YouTube. So yeah, right now our main focus is YouTube and podcasts.
When you say podcasts, how are you growing those? Is it through a YouTube podcast? Is it a video podcast and that's bringing in new people, or is it the audio podcast that's a bigger driver of downloads and listens? How do those kind of balance out?
So no, our podcast right now is only audio, and so I had a podcast for 4 years. So just when I started with a podcast, but it was a little bit of a mess. We were not doing any tracking. We were not doing any like lead magnets. So we stopped that, and we just basically started from scratch. At first, we thought, okay, are we going to do audio or video. We are going for audio only for now. We might change in the future, but simply because we wanted to have two completely separate platforms. One for YouTube, one for viewers, and one for podcasts for listeners. Because what we realized is that not necessarily all the people in your audience just use and watch or listen all of your content. Of course, we have the super fans that are watching everything, that are listening to everything. But maybe some people actually prefer learning a language through podcasts and just listening because maybe they don't have time to actually watch a video. I'm thinking about all those people that, for example, commute for, I don't know, like an hour, 2 hours every single day. And then we have people that just want to watch content because for them, podcasts just they do not work as much. So what we thought is to completely separate the two platforms, and even the content is completely different because on YouTube we do a lot of the teaching. On podcasts, what we do is basically just conversations, very natural conversations in couples. Because I do one podcast with my teacher and one podcast with my best friend that works with me. So because of that, people love it because it's completely different. And if they don't want to learn the grammar, the vocabulary, or maybe if they know it already and they just want to practice their listening, they have the podcast. So right now it is two completely separate platforms. And well, I would say that of course I promoted my podcast when I started in January through my email list, through my
Hmm.
newsletter, and I guess that right now it's growing mostly because people are are searching it on Spotify. So they just put in Teacher Stefano and then they find our podcasts. So of course, right now, I mean, we're kind of getting listeners just because of that, because people know me already.
Yeah,
Uh, but we prefer it right now. We prefer to keep the two platforms completely separate.
that makes sense. Yeah, I think that from my experience, podcasts are probably the best middle of funnel content for course creators, but it's so much harder to grow a podcast audience than it is to grow a YouTube audience because there isn't really that much discovery in podcasts. Now, there are some exceptions. So I've got a podcast episode 170. It was with Timothy Moser, who teaches runs a LearnCraft Spanish. So they teach Spanish online, and they have a podcast. It's their main traffic source, LearnCraft Spanish podcast, and that has grown mostly through search. So they've
Okay.
managed to become optimized for when people are searching for Learn Spanish podcast or whatever the search terms are that people might search for in the podcast app, they're coming up. And so that's allowed them to grow that, and that's built the whole business. And then now he's flipping. So he's now getting into YouTube. He's like, okay, we've topping
Yeah.
out on the Spanish on the podcast side. Now we're going to do YouTube as well. And another one is Charlie Baxter from
Mm.
the British English podcast. I can't remember how he'd grown that, but he's got hundreds of thousands of downloads of that podcast as well.
Mm.
So if you can grow, what I've seen is if you can grow the podcast, people become raving fans because they will listen to everything, and then they will listen while they're out walking and while they're commuting and washing the dishes. And so you're kind of constantly in there, and they'll consume way more content than somebody will do on YouTube. But it's harder to grow it. So I love that you've got both, because YouTube kind of acts in one way, podcast acts in another. You're crossing over because you're cross promoting them through your email list.
Hmm.
That would be super interesting to hear kind of how that works for you. If you started them this year, have you started to be able to track any of the results from that in terms of how well the podcast is leading to sales, or is it too early to say with that?
I would say that we do not have like enough data right now to
Yeah.
actually see how much that is converting. Because so what we do is that we offer like a PDF, like a
Hmm.
transcript for every episode. So every single episode has a lead magnet, and I would say that right now, to be fair, we were expecting a little bit of a higher conversion rate from from the lead magnet to actual sales. But again, we don't have enough data yet. So um, in January, it's going to be a year. I think after a year of content, we can safely say if this is working the way we expected.
Hmm.
Uh, but I'm not sure. I think with podcast, especially for the thing you said that people start from the very beginning, right? It's a long-term investment because we continue to upload one episode per week mostly, and I think in the future, especially if, and I don't know, this is just my prediction, but I think that Spotify, especially Spotify, will become much better at actually um, let people search content. So I
Mm,
think the
mm.
algorithm is going to get a little better, especially with the video thing, because right now I noticed that I'm getting far better recommendations for podcasts compared to what I was getting maybe even a couple of years back. In I don't know, just thinking about that and thinking kind of long term, I think that starting a podcast now is a very good investment for the future. Also, because podcasts are usually much lower effort than YouTube.
Mhm.
But as you said, it's slower. So if you want something a little faster, YouTube is better. YouTube is still kind of slowish compared to, for example, Instagram and TikTok. But at the same time, I think that the long term investment will pay off because eventually people that listen to our podcast will become just a huge fan of our work and they will buy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I've definitely found it from my business is that people who listen to this podcast will message me and be like, I've listened to every single episode and I love it. And now I'm ready and I want to work with you guys. You know, it's just
Mhm.
like, this is like, I've listened to everything. I want to get actual access to Josip and the team and everything else. And it's like, how can we work together? And they'll know like everyone in the team who's been on the podcast. They're like, oh, I know Josip, I know Dominic, I know Boris, what have you. So that's definitely been for us a massive success. What's for you what's your email system like? How do you mentioned that you've got a separate lead magnet for every podcast episode. Do you do the same thing for every YouTube video as well?
We used to. Right now, I mean, every single YouTube video that we have uploaded in the last couple of years, I guess, has some sort of lead magnet.
Hmm.
Before, we were doing something pretty simple. So the lead magnet was just basically PDF note. I mean, the notes of the lesson, PDF notes of the lesson. Right now, we're doing it a little different. So we're always adding something extra to the lead
Hmm.
magnet. So it's a video, and then you've got the lesson notes, for example, but you also have some exercises, for example. You've gotten extra rules. You have always extra something. And we also have some big lead magnets that we know to be very valuable that we kind of like rotate. So, for example, if we do a specific video, but the lesson notes are not necessary, or we're talking about something that don't need a PDF, we just place a very valuable PDF as lead magnet on that specific video. And we kind of like changed the strategy a little bit this year, and it paid off. We doubled the leads compared to last year, um, and we just rethought the idea of giving out something for free because we wanted to make sure that what we were given was extremely valuable. Because the more you give, the more you will receive eventually. And what you said earlier is actually something that has happened to us as well, because there are for YouTube videos, usually YouTube videos with more views don't tend to convert as much as videos with a smaller public. And I'm talking about conversion to, of course, like the newsletter, the email list. So people who download the PDF, not conversion to sales. We don't track that at the moment. So we realized right now this year that we don't want to necessarily optimize our channel for views, but we're actually optimizing it for leads.
Yeah.
And compared to last year, we pretty much have the same number of views, maybe a little like a 5% more, so not significant, but double the leads with the same amount of views. And this just showed us how important it is to offer a PDF or offer a lead magnet, whatever, not just because you want to grab someone's email, but because you actually want to give them something extremely valuable that is going to be super valuable to them as well. And that way, the customer is happy, and well, the potential customer is happy, and eventually they will convert because through that lead magnet they downloaded, they actually understand the power and how good our what we do is.
Mm. So you're trying to, with the lead magnet, not just get them to give you their email address, but actually the lead magnet itself is part of the sales process because you're trying to wow them by giving them, they're like,
Yes,
oh my God, look at how good this free stuff is. Imagine how
exactly.
good the paid things will be.
Yes, that's
Okay.
that's very important to us, and this is actually the thing. Like what we do, I would say that maybe 60% of my team's work goes into YouTube.
Mhm.
Maybe we can do 50-50. I don't know, like 50 for maybe let's do 60 for YouTube and podcast and 40 for the paid stuff. So 60% of our work, of our effort is for the free stuff, and 40% is for the paid stuff. Because well, to us, they're equally important. If you have things in the free things that are not good, people will not understand the quality of your paid stuff.
Mhm.
To us, that is very, very important.
With your email list, how often are you promoting anything to them? Because you've got these different courses you're making. How often do you promote the courses with like a discount to them?
Yeah, so right now for 2026, for 2025, and it'll be the same for 2026, we are still promoting, we're still creating a lot of courses. So this year we created 5 courses. So we had 5 promotions for the launch, the
Mhm.
actual launch of these courses, and then we have 2 big promotions every single year that are usually we do summer sales or back to school in September and Black Friday. So basically, we just do well launches for new products and 2 big sales every single year with a discount. But for other like the other months of the year, we don't do anything. Like we do not over promote our courses with a discount. But they're evergreen. They're always available on our website. And if people want to buy, they just do through our website at full price.
And have you considered in those other months, so that the other 5 months of the year, having like a promotion of a previous course, a course that's already launched, 2024 maybe even, and putting a discount on that?
So right now, this is something that we might start doing in 2027 because we will be
Hmm.
done with course production. So right now, since we are focusing a little bit more on course production, we don't want to spend too much time in promoting old courses.
Hmm.
Also because we are pretty happy with how much we're making with monthly sales. Now, people, of course, can buy also from our funnel because once they download a PDF, we have a welcome sequence for people to buy with a little discount. But at the moment, we have decided not to do that. One, because of a time factor. We don't have the time to actually think about more promotions. So that's the first truth. And then second is just because we think that right now with we're doing a lot of selling, sure, but we're also doing what people are still buying in the months we're not promoting anything. And that's not a lot of work for us. Of course,
Yeah.
we need to make a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of lead magnets, and that's the work we put in. And we're pretty happy with that. So right now, no.
Cool. For future reference, what we've found, because we run a lot of tests on this in terms of what makes the most sales, is if you do a promotion once or even twice a month, so a full promotion once and 2 in a month would be a full promotion and then maybe a flash sale for 2 days.
Mhm.
But probably once a month, then that for most people leads to the maximum number of sales. If you do it less often, every 2 months, then the goodwill that you build up because you're not promoting as often doesn't outweigh the amount of money that you'd make from those
Mhm.
additional sales in terms of revenue. You might choose to value the goodwill in other ways, but and when we've done it more often, we've done with some clients 2 promotions in a month, then that leads to a decline over time because more people unsubscribe and more people are like, that's not I don't want to be on the email list. I'm hearing too much promotion, not enough just value for being on the list. And then you over time, to start with, you have more sales, and over time, you kind of gradually get less. So like one big promotion, one small one, or just one promotion a month is kind of the maximum. Now, I understand what you're saying in terms of you don't have
Like
time for that
one
at the
week
moment.
promotion, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
1 week of the month being a promotion. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
the way we do it is we'll have a week of useful, valuable content that is connected to the thing we're going to promote, that is build up, that is like hype building without any mention of a thing on sale, without any mention of a discount, nothing like that. But it's getting people in the right mindset, and then a week of promotion. And that we've seen kind of lead to the highest amount of revenue from an email list. But I understand you saying that that's kind of not what's right for you right now. If at some point you're like, I would like to make more money with this, that is available to you. You've built up that, that potential, and
Oh, yeah.
you can turn that spigot from 7 to 12 and grow the revenue.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is anything that's challenging for you at the moment?
Right now, I think one thing we are kind of like struggling with and that would like to improve is tracking. Because, for example, we don't track sales from a YouTube video sales from YouTube videos, and we don't have a lot of information on about like where people are clicking, what are clicking, how they're landing on our website. Every single month, what we have is 30% of sales every single month is coming from our email sequence. So, of course, we know that it's people that have subscribed either on YouTube or the podcast, and they have downloaded a lead magnet. So that's 30%. We know where it's coming from. Fine. We don't know. We also know. Yeah, sorry. We also know what lead magnets are performing better. The funnel, but the automated part is good. What's not as good is the other 70% of revenue that we're making every single month. And I'm not talking about launches. I'm just talking about recurring revenue from just courses that are always available on our website. We don't know where that is coming from. And 70% is a lot. I don't know, from the website. Is it from our blog? Because we also have a blog. Is it from a specific YouTube video that has a link, a direct link to our courses? We don't know. And so at first the how I saw it last year, and then this year I changed my mind. How I saw it last year was like, well, this is luck. It's working. Whatever, I don't care. But the way I see it this year is, what if next year, for example, it starts to decrease? If the revenue that we're making from the welcome sequence starts going down, I know that we have a problem with that, and I'm going to look for problems and fixes. But if that part of revenue starts actually going down, what am I going to do? I don't know where it comes from, so I don't know how to fix it. So I kind of like started changing my mind about this. It took quite some time, and we made tracking a top priority for us in 2026 to kind of like starting understanding where people are coming from, where people are buying from.
Yeah, I think tracking is super useful in a few completely distinct ways. One is you can see what's working, and you can go, this thing that we've got is working really well. Maybe you've got one lead magnet that's doing way better than the other lead magnets, or a type of lead magnet that's doing better, or a type of video, or whatever it is. And you're cool. Well, great. Let's do more of that thing. And then you've got stuff that's doing less well. And then if you know where the benchmark is, okay, well, most of our videos do this well. We've got this one that does less well. Are we going to do it differently, or are we going to stop doing that type of video, or are we going to tweak the lead magnet that goes with it? You can choose what to do to address it. And then the third one that I think is very important is when something breaks, you know what actually it is that's broken and how to fix it. So I had somebody we did an audit for, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And they had declining, their revenue had dropped 2 years earlier, and they didn't know why. They didn't know what was wrong. And they kept trying lots of different things. And we went through and we did a full analysis and went through all the data. And we found there was one thing that they had changed on their website, one link that had got broken or something like that. and it had screwed up all this other stuff and it had caused all these problems. And they didn't know that it was that one particular thing because they weren't tracking each step in their funnel as they kind of went through. And once
Wow.
they fixed that, it made this giant jump back up again. And I've seen that kind of thing loads of times, like where someone's like, shit, what's going wrong here? And you break down the funnel into small steps and you go through and you do the analysis. You're like, aha, did you change, like, for example, sometimes someone will have changed their lead magnet opt-in form. And then there's some of the lead magnets that some of the forms aren't working anymore. And so people aren't getting onto the email list, or they're not seeing the right confirmation page, or they're not getting the right tag and they're not going into the email sequence or something along those kind of lines. And I think for those things, tracking is vital because it's almost impossible otherwise to try and figure out what on earth it is that actually went wrong. So I think this is great that you're really starting to dig into this. So what's your plan for next year of how you're going to work on this?
I think the goal is kind of, well, first of all, just change most of our links, whether on YouTube, podcast, website, and kind of connect them to the sales, because I think that's the missing part. We have a solid tracking for YouTube in terms of what videos are performing well, what videos are converting better, lead magnets that are converting. We do have that, and we do also a pretty good tracking in terms of sales. So when I say sales, I mean, for example, what people are buying, order bumps, conversion rates from launches. But we do have like a we like a we're lacking a connection in the middle. So the top of the funnel is not actually talking to the bottom of the funnel for us. We don't know what's happening in the middle, how people go from YouTube, from podcasts, from lead magnets to our website and actually buy. So that's what we'll work on. That's our idea.
Nice. Well, that's exciting. I think that's going to be a worthwhile investment. Like, it's not a clear, like, it's not as obvious a revenue generator as some other things, like sending an email promotion or growing your YouTube channel. But I think it's absolutely vital. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, man, I should do some tracking, I need to get started with this, I've got a module of our course that you can get hold of for free if you drop me an email. Now, there's one requirement with this. You have to promise me that you're actually going to do it. So drop me an email, put the subject line as being KPI tracking, key performance indicator, KPI tracking. And I will give you access for free to this module of our course. And it's going to show you exactly how to do like the fundamental KPI tracking that we do. And send that to john@datadrivenmarketing.co and I'll send it through to you. All right. You want it as well? Okay. I'll send it through to you afterwards as well.
You know my email.
I do know your email. Yeah. Okay. So let's have a little think here. You've got your plan for 2026 in terms of I wanted to go back a stage, actually. There was something you'd said I wanted to hit on. You said that you're getting like about new email subscribers a month. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Now, obviously, I don't know how many of those are coming from Instagram or TikTok or anything, but if they're from YouTube mostly, they could be from the podcast, of course, as well. If they're from YouTube mostly, then that would put you at about a 1% opt-in rate, which in the language learning space is pretty good. So most people we see in the language learning space have got somewhere under a 0.5%. And you can generally get to about a 1% opt-in rate with language learning YouTube channels. So that sounds solid. And definitely you've doubled it in the last year. So that's a very good, a very good improvement. If you're listening to this and you're wondering, well, have I got, am I at that kind of a good level? It depends on what niche you're in as to what kind of opt-in rate you can get. I've been looking at a lot of music channels recently. We've been talking to a lot of musicians. And we've got a lot of people teaching music courses as clients as well. And there it tends to be more like about 2% opt-in rate. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Which if you go and listen to any of the music episodes that we've done, I'll kind of talk about that in detail, but I won't cover that here. But so that sounds solid. Now, obviously, that depends on how many of the opt-ins are coming from elsewhere as well, the podcasts and the other things, as to whether I've calculated that number correctly. That's a bit more of a back of the envelope sum. So we've got a good opt-in rate from YouTube. You've got a good number of views per month on YouTube. You're creating new courses. How have you decided what courses to create? Like, is it the standard like A1, A2, B1, B2 kind of thing, or are there specific angles that you teach people about? Like, what's the type of courses you're making?
So right now, I think, and this is actually one decision that we made from just when we started, we want to keep things very, very simple. We advertise ourselves as not being like gurus of languages. We don't have a secret method. We don't have a special method. We just have a very simple method, very effective. So that's how we kind of promote our school, promote our
Mhm.
courses. And because of that, we just made very basic courses uh, divided by just levels. So A1, A2, and so on. And we're also making 30-day courses that are a little smaller, but intensive courses on specific topics in the Italian language. That it might be grammar, it might be listening, it might be vocabulary, maybe prepositions, whatever. So right now our course ecosystem is pretty simple. We have our level courses that are always open, and now we're also creating these 30-day courses that we launch, open one time, and then close for enrollment. And they're not available on our website. They might be
Mhm.
available as like order bumps, but they're not always available to buy because we want to keep our offer extremely simple. If you're just starting out, you don't need to buy a specific 30-day course on a specific topic. You need the level course. And yeah, we've always worked that way. We just want to keep things super, super simple.
Now, you mentioned order bumps there, and I am constantly promoting to everybody on this podcast that they should have order bumps if they don't already. So I love that you've got those in place. But I don't think you've got upsells in place at the
Mm-mm.
moment. Is there a reason for that in terms of philosophically about it, or is it just something you haven't set up yet?
Well, it's a so upsells. I like the idea of an upsell, to be honest. I don't like how the platform that I'm using. Can I say the name of the platform? Teachable.
Is it Teachable?
Yes.
Yeah. Teachable's got issues. Yeah.
I don't love how the platform that I use deal with upsells. When we started, since it's like one click upsell, we started
Yeah.
getting like, oh, I just didn't want to click on it. And so we need to kind of like do refunds and stuff. So upsells is not something that I do not want to use. It's just that it's the platform right now does not allow me to have upsells the way I want. And yeah, that's just it. But if I could use upsells, I think that upsells would be because right now what I do with order bumps
Mhm.
is that I'm basically just selling the next level course. So
Mhm.
we have order bumps that are pretty pricey. I mean, they're still, of course, a little cheaper than our main course. But for me, ideally, an order bump would be like a $20, $30 thing. So something cheap that you just add just because it's
Yeah.
nice to have it and because it's super cheap. Then in the next page, once people have bought, there would be an upsell of the next level course heavily discounted. Let's say, I don't know, 50% off, whatever. So this is the ideal like checkout flow like that I would want. It's just not possible right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Teachable is a great course hosting
And I
system.
love it.
It's one of the two best, I'd say, Teachable and Kajabi. But it's from a marketing and sales point of view, it's dreadful. The kinds of sales pages you can build in Teachable are very limited. You cannot
Yeah, we
make
don't
them
use
nearly
that.
as good. Okay.
Mhm.
That helps. The checkout pages are appalling, absolutely appalling. I saw your conversion rates that you get from your email campaigns, email promotions, and that's fantastic considering the fact that you're doing it
Kind of
through
unteachable.
Teachable. Because
Yeah.
the checkout pages are just atrocious. But like we've got, I've taught whole, obviously modules in the course, but obviously but also whole podcast episodes about checkout pages. In fact, let me link everyone to episode 186. I did a whole episode with Boris about exactly all the things you should have in place on your checkout page. And you can only do about half of them with Teachable. And you can kind of manage to jerry rig, so it's a very English expression, it together to kind of do some of them, but you can't do the whole thing, and the flow of it is bad, and the way that it does order bumps is bad, you know. And then, like you said, upsells is not good either.
And
The
one
only way
thing,
around that, sorry, carry on.
no,
The only
continue.
way around it from a technical point of view is to do the whole funnel through something else and then use Zapier to connect it together with Teachable behind the scenes, or accept it's just I've got to work with what kind of Teachable's got available. Like we'll often do it with ClickFunnels and then connect that behind the scenes with Zapier. And in fact, we did that with somebody recently. I think we may have done a podcast episode about it. I know that I talked to my team about it a lot, and they'd managed to increase the conversion rate like 2x, something like that,
Wow. Okay.
by changing the sales pages and checkout pages and order bumps and upsells over to ClickFunnels instead of Teachable. Then and then obviously you got to do all the behind the scenes Zapier and everything to make sure everyone gets their course at the, you know, and gets their login and all of those kind of things. But it's dramatic, the increase. It's probably not the next thing for you because you've got so much on your plate already, but the possibilities are huge in terms of conversions.
Wow. I mean, that would get pricey real fast with Zapier and ClickFunnels, but if you double
nowhere close to what you what you make. ClickFunnels not that expensive.
If you double
it's like $300 a month for unlimited funnels
for ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And Zapier?
Yeah, it's not too much. Yeah. Zapier, I don't know. You'd have to look at how many automations.
How many sales of course. That's interesting.
But
I
think overall it'd be way cheaper than what you'd make from it. Like way cheaper. You know, 20 times.
I don't know. I just think that the reason why I stick with Teachable and we still use it, of course, I mean, I think it's a great course platform, like in terms of the actual like course layout and everything, and also because it for the tax things, because it's like tax remittance.
That's really nice, isn't it?
That just saves us a ton of money, of course, and it just I don't have to worry about that because that would be a lot of work, especially in Italy. I guess it would be the same all around Europe. Not know about like other countries like the US or. But yeah, that's the only way, the only reason, or not the only. Okay, I don't want to be too dramatic, but the main reason why we're staying with Teachable, exploring other ways, like a checkout on a different platform. Yes, that's something we might. That's actually for us. It's something we're planning to do once we finish our courses, because that's the thing, and this is actually an advice for people that are just starting out or they have started just for maybe 1 year. And it's to keep things very, very simple, because of course we often talk about things that are very complicated, very advanced, that we probably don't need, at least when we're just starting out. And if you don't have any course to sell, it doesn't matter how well you optimize your funnel. If you don't have a course, you're not going to make any money out of it. So what we're doing is right now is to work with just priorities. Right now, our main priority is to just to finish our course ecosystem and just to create all the courses we want to create. That's going to be done in end of 2026, early 2027. After that, it's all about optimizing and how can we make more money out of what we already have. That is the goal. But first, we need to create the products.
Yeah. That makes total sense. I think that's really sensible. Yeah. You've got to make decisions about what to work on because there's too many things to do all at the same time. And that's one of the things that's challenging. You know, when you're starting a course business, it's like, okay, well, you've got to do work on building the audience, of course. Otherwise, if you don't build the audience, then long term, you won't have a big enough audience to sell to and make enough money. But you have to make some courses. Otherwise, you're not testing out, well, does this audience want to buy a course? Well, you've got to make lead magnets. You know, obviously, you've got to do that as well. So you get people into your email list, but you've got to send valuable, useful email. It's like, oh my God, I've got so much to do. And at the beginning, you haven't got money. You know, if you're listening to this and you're in year one of building your course business and you're just getting going with it, it's like, it's challenging. I get that. It's really tricky. and it gets slightly easier as you go, but it's not like you have no decisions to make and you go, oh yeah, we're got our hundreds of thousands of YouTube subscribers now, it's all easy, I can do everything at once. It's
No.
like, no, you've got to decide, you've got to choose. I love that you're so disciplined about this, in terms of you've planned out the whole next year and a bit in terms of what you're going to work on. It's great.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Stefano,
think
if
that's very
people want,
important. Yeah.
yeah, and I think very few course creators do it. I don't think most people are quite as organized as you in terms of
Mm.
their approach with this. If someone's been loving what they've been hearing, or if they actually want to go and learn Italian, where can they go check you out?
Well, my website, teacherstefano.com, or you can just search Teacher Stefano on YouTube and find a lot of videos on there. And also my
Nice.
podcast, yeah. It's Teacher Stefano on all platforms.
So that's, in case you don't know, that's spelled Stefano, Stefano, teacherstefano.com. Stefano, thanks so much for coming on today, man. This was absolutely amazing. I love what
Thank
you're
you.
doing. I love the way that you're kind of approaching your whole course business, and I'm delighted for you in terms of all the success that you've had so far.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
If you want to, for any of the topics that we've covered today, if you want to get hold of some resources that go with it, I mentioned a few podcast episodes as we went through, but we have free downloads that go with any of those different topics, like how to improve your opt-in rate or how to improve your order bumps or your upsells. Just go to datadrivenmarketing.co/resources, and you can download like free guides and resources and templates from there for any of those different topics. As always, thank you so much for listening. And Stefano, once again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Bye.